Well, hey y'all. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for checking out my YouTube video. I hope that you have been enjoying my content, and I encourage you to like, share, and follow for more. Let's get right into it. You saw the video. How I went from $1.28, yes, $1.28 to $10K a month. Now, it's important that you have a little backstory so that you understand the full story. So let me give you a little small backstory. I used to travel very often, monthly, for work. I used to train physicians and nurses on software. I decided to stop doing that in 2022. And when I decided, because I needed to stay home with my family, I find it quite difficult to find a decent paying job in my area. So it was a transition for me to look for work, to start interviewing, to go through that process again and really trying to find myself. And I was really committed to really staying home. So for a little while, I blew through my savings. And then I kept applying for work. I really struggled a lot, to the point my bank account went down to $1.28. That's correct, $1.28. I never thought I would see the day that my account went down that low. It was a very tough time for me. These are the things that I went through. I went through almost 2 eviction notices. My utilities was about to be cut off. It was really tight. I remember yelling at my son saying, "Hey, don't eat all the food. We've got to let this stretch." I couldn't get unemployment. Unemployment got these crazy, at least in my state, they got these crazy timelines, and you're not within this period, and you're locked out of this for this till this year. And so I couldn't even get unemployment. It was very difficult. And in my culture, trying to borrow money is just not an option. Well, I'll tell you a couple things. It's important that you know how broke I was. I was so broke that I can recall me and my son cleaning out my piggy bank. I have a picture of him going to the coin counter to deposit those coins. I can remember he was starting high school. I was afraid to ask his barber to do a free cut, because nobody wants to work for free. Nobody. And so I started to Google haircuts, back to school haircuts. I found somebody in the area that was doing haircuts for $1 for back to school. I was able to at least make sure he had clean clothes. I couldn't afford new clothes for him for school. As you can imagine, this was very daunting, a very dark time for me. Well, I had a couple people in my corner. I had one friend that said, "Roxanne, it's only for a season. I promise you it's only for a season." She immediately sent me $1,000. Another friend sent me $200. And with these couple things, I was able to make it. I even found a local church that was able to donate $500 towards my rent. But time is ticking. I really needed to change my situation. I had a friend that told me, "The work that you were doing is basically like analyst work. Roxanne, you need to spruce up your resume and get creative." I started researching what an analyst does. I started thinking, I really want to do this, but I needed something right away. Once I realigned my resume, made it more creative, I had a lot of recruiters start reaching out. I also was able to save my resume on my cell phone. I also had the job apps on my phone, and I turned on the alerts. When I turned on the alerts, I could also get real-time new jobs that have been posted, and I can upload my resume in a matter of seconds. That really made a bigger difference. Again, I needed work fast. Time was running out. I finally landed my first job after months and months. It was, again, a difficult time. I couldn't get anything done. My son, we was just struggling. We were struggling to put food on the table. Once I landed my first job, I thought, thank you, God, we can now make it. but it still really wasn't enough money. My daytime job was paying me $64,000 a year. Perhaps that's a lot of money to some. I'll tell you this economy is very difficult. I feel like food can run you an average of 180 a month, 180 a week for a family of two. Don't even try to go for, the finest ingredients. You just got to get the Walmart kind of stuff. It still wasn't enough. I decided to update my resume again and really hone in on some of my technical background skills because I've done a lot of different things. Lo and behold, a recruiter reached out to me for a help desk role. And my first question is, do you offer night shift? They said yes. Nobody wants it. Do you want it? Yeah. It was supposed to be a contract job, but I thought I can make this work. So I did. I took the contract job at $34 an hour. In the very beginning, we were working 50, 60 hours a week. So for perspective, yes, I did a nighttime job and a daytime job. I'm sure your first question is, when did you sleep? Well, you see, it's a nighttime help desk role for a hospital. Of course, I can't say the company, and I certainly can't say the hospital. It was supposed to be like for 3 or 4 weeks. It went on for 5.5 months. I was making $10,000 between the two for 5.5 months. Let me get back to when did I sleep. I slept in between calls. You see, when you do nighttime help desk for hospitals, that is the time when you don't get a lot of calls. Now, I must say in the beginning I did, but by the time those checks start coming in, $2,200 a week when I first started, then it slowed down to maybe $2,000, and it wound up being, after taxes, about $1,800 a week, and then $4,000 a month from my daytime job. I was bringing in $10,000 a month. This completely changed our life. My son needed new school clothes. I had no option for that. He needed new shoes. We needed food. I needed to pay the bills, just all the things. So it was just really a time where we were able to get on our feet. I hope this encourages you. If you're ever looking for, I can't speak for a lot of help desk roles, but at nighttime, the phone doesn't ring that often. Now, if you're a person that can sleep in between, some people say they can't. Well, I didn't want to stay in my situation, so I figured out how I can. There are lots of nights where I would get 3 or 4 hours sleep in between and then 1 or 2 calls. Like I said in the beginning, I was very sleepy. But keep in mind, oftentimes I didn't work till 9 o'clock. So I worked my day job. I had to be there at 8:30. I got off at 5. A couple of days a week I worked remotely. And then I would take a couple of hours break to just sleep and then start the nighttime job and try to get dinner done. Just to let you know, help desk, don't sleep on help desk. It is a lot of great help desk roles out there, especially if you can work in a hospital. All you need to do is get your resume creative. If you're already working at the front desk of the hospital or in another amenity of the hospital, all you have to do is tailor your resume to that help desk role, and you too can get it. You can put your, Indeed is a great place where they offer lots of help desk roles. They're probably going to ask you if there's tier 1 or tier 2. And I did both because we had to remote in. And now for context purpose, I also want to give you some of the questions that I would get. Because a lot of times people think that these are jobs that they can just up and go and get. You see, I spent 9 years in a hospital training already staff. So I was familiar on the floor, real time, and in a classroom setting of the kind of questions that I would get. So you can't just wing your way through that kind of job. You have to know hospital movement, and you have to be able to answer the questions. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a couple of questions. There would be some times where they would say, hey, this patient just came in. I can't put them on the board. I'm trying to drag them. and they're not coming up on the board. There are certain questions you need to ask, okay, for that. I would get physicians that was trying to do a note and they couldn't figure out where the incomplete note was. I would have to walk them through that. A lot of times I could do a blind walkthrough because I remember the software in the system, which was the Epic software. But a lot of times I would have to remote into their screen and walk them through that process. So, and keep in mind, you need to be patient, you need to be courteous, you need to be friendly and very customer oriented. After all, they're paying you $34 an hour. Okay, so it's very important that you provide that excellent top tier customer service. So it was a great assignment. So if you're considering that, I would suggest working at a hospital first, understanding the questions, kind of working your way up through there. If you're working at, say, for instance, the patient services, if you're at the help desk at a hospital, start listening more closely to what they're doing. Start moving around a little bit more. It can really be beneficial to you. These particular companies, you know, they look for people that have that customer service and that knowledge. And you really would have to demonstrate that knowledge. It's not something right off the gate that you can do. So you would need to structure your resume using the top tier 1 or tier 2 and being able to really deliver that high level customer service that they deserve. And just to give you an idea, I would get calls from nurses and doctors because they knew that I had the knowledge of the software system. So that is the video in a nutshell of how I went from $1.28 in my bank account to over $10K a month. It has been the greatest blessing and a joy. I hope you continue to follow and like me for more content. Please leave feedback below and tell me what you think of this video. Have a great day.